If you were Paul Newman's wife, ladies, would you let him go out alone like this? Interesting and profound.
There are movie stars, and then there are legends. Paul Newman was both.
You make shots that nobody's ever made before. And you play that game the way...
With those famous blue eyes and that easy smile, he made women swoon and men want to be his friend. For over 50 years, he ruled Hollywood. But behind the charm and the cool confidence lived a man with a heart that loved deeply and sometimes painfully. At the age of 83, before he passed away, Newman looked back on his life. He spoke about the women who shaped him, the loves that lifted him up, and the heartbreaks that nearly broke him.
You like it? You thinks?
If I get some support from some quarters, but the point is I didn't get any support from anybody, including my wife.
These weren't just Hollywood romances or publicity stunts. These were real connections that changed everything. The college sweetheart who believed in him when he had nothing. The princess who chose a crown over his heart. The violet-eyed beauty who was too dangerous to love. The soulmate who saved him from himself. The tragic angel he couldn't protect. And the late-life connection that reminded him what passion felt like. Newman's greatest performances weren't always on screen. They were in the quiet moments, the stolen glances, the loves he fought for, and the ones he had to let go. Some lasted a lifetime. Others were gone too soon, but each one left its mark on the man the world thought it knew. Stay with us because Paul Newman's greatest love stories were never filmed. These are the 6 women who owned pieces of his soul, told exactly as he remembered them. 6. Susan Sarandon. By the time Paul Newman met Susan Sarandon, he was already a Hollywood king.
I would have thought this was the answer to your prayers.
She was the fierce actress who never backed down from a fight.
She's been patient beyond belief and supportive.
Their paths crossed in the 1990s when both were at the top of their game. Newman was in his 70s, still handsome, still magnetic. Sarandon was Hollywood's rebel queen, unafraid to speak her mind. They worked together on several projects, and something sparked between them. It wasn't just an attraction. It was deeper than that. They shared the same fire for politics, the same anger at injustice. While other actors played it safe, Newman and Sarandon stood up for what they believed in. They marched together, protested together, fought the same battles. Friends noticed how Newman lit up around her. His eyes would find hers across crowded rooms. When she spoke, he listened like no one else mattered. Sarandon later admitted she felt it too. That pull, that connection that goes beyond friendship. At award shows and charity events, they sought each other out, their conversations lasting long into the night. But the timing was cruel. Newman was married to Joanne Woodward, his wife of 40 years. He was loyal, a man who kept his promises. Sarandon respected that, even as her heart wanted more. They danced around their feelings, never crossing the line that would destroy everything. The unspoken tension between them was electric, dangerous, and beautiful. Their connection remained unspoken, a secret shared in glances and careful words. For Newman, Susan Sarandon was the reminder that passion doesn't die with age. She was the final flame that flickered in his heart, beautiful and impossible, proving that some loves are too precious to pursue. 5. Pier Angeli. In the golden days of 1950s, Hollywood, Paul Newman met a woman whose beauty was almost otherworldly.
Che cosa?
Senti, ti amo!
Pier Angeli was an Italian actress with dark eyes that held both innocence and sadness.
To make up the character, to get a sense of the way he moves.
She had come to America with dreams, just like Newman. But unlike him, she carried the weight of a controlling family and a studio system that owned her soul. Her delicate beauty hid a strength that Newman found irresistible. Their romance began quietly, away from the cameras and gossip columns. Newman was drawn to her gentle spirit in the way she spoke about art and life with such passion. Pier saw in him a kindness that Hollywood rarely offered. They would meet in secret, talking for hours about their hopes and fears. For Newman, she was like a delicate flower in a world full of thorns. He felt protective of her in a way he had never experienced before. But their love faced impossible odds. Pier's mother disapproved of Newman, wanting her daughter to marry within their Italian Catholic community. The studio bosses also had other plans, pushing her toward relationships that would boost her career. Newman fought for their love, but he was still a struggling actor with little power to protect her. The pressure from all sides became unbearable for both of them. The pressure became too much. Pier was forced to marry singer Vic Damone in 1954, breaking Newman's heart completely. He watched helplessly as the woman he loved was pushed into a life she never wanted. Years later, when Pier died tragically young at 39, Newman carried the guilt of not being strong enough to save her. Pier Angeli remained his greatest regret, the angel he lost to forces beyond his control. Or Joanne Woodward. In 1953, Paul Newman's life changed forever when he walked into a casting office
Are you gonna make a pass at me, Alfred?
and saw a blonde actress reading lines. Joanne Woodward was different from every other woman in Hollywood. She was smart, funny, and completely unimpressed by his charm.
I don't know the things that I have a gift for except tenaciousness.
Smooth lines on her, she just laughed and walked away. For the first time, Newman had to work for a woman's attention. Their friendship grew slowly while working on The Long, Hot Summer in 1958. Joanne saw through his movie star image to the real man underneath. She challenged him, made him think, and never let him get away with being lazy or fake. Newman found himself falling in love with her mind as much as her beauty. But there was one problem. He was still married to his first wife, Jackie. The guilt of loving another woman while married ate at Newman's soul. He was a good man who hated breaking promises, but his heart belonged to Joanne. When he finally divorced Jackie and married Joanne in 1958, he knew he had found his other half. She wasn't just his wife. She was his best friend, his toughest critic, and his greatest supporter. For 50 years, through all the fame and temptation, Newman stayed faithful to Joanne. While other Hollywood marriages crashed and burned, theirs only grew stronger. She gave him 6 daughters and a love that lasted until his death. When people asked Newman about the secret to their marriage, he always said the same thing. "I have steak at home. Why go out for a hamburger?" Joanne Woodward didn't just win Newman's heart. She saved his soul and showed him what real love looked like. 3. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was a force of nature, and Paul Newman knew it the moment he met her.
I guess maybe I even hugged you before I saw you.
Those famous violet eyes could make strong men weak.
Different facets of your own personality that you can get to, and you find yourself repeating yourself. So it's, I mean, there are actors like Olivia.
And her beauty was legendary, even in a town full of beautiful women. But what drew Newman to her wasn't just her looks. It was her fierce spirit and the way she lived life without apologies. They became friends in the 1950s and stayed close for decades, but their relationship was always dancing on the edge of something more dangerous. Newman and Taylor shared a love of good food, strong drinks, and even stronger opinions. They would spend hours talking about acting, life, and the crazy world of Hollywood. Friends noticed the way they looked at each other. There was electricity in the air whenever they were together. Taylor was married multiple times, but she always made time for Newman. He was one of the few men who could handle her fire without getting burned. The attraction between them was real and powerful. Taylor later admitted she had feelings for Newman, and he never denied the pull he felt toward her. But Newman was smart enough to know that getting involved with Elizabeth Taylor would be like playing with dynamite. She was passionate, dramatic, and lived her life in headlines. Newman valued his privacy too much to risk it all for even the most beautiful woman in the world. So they remained friends, safe in the knowledge that some attractions are too dangerous to explore. Taylor was the storm Newman admired from a distance, never letting himself get caught in her whirlwind. She represented everything exciting and terrifying about Hollywood love: beautiful, intense, and potentially destructive. Their friendship lasted until her death, a testament to the power of choosing safety over passion. 2. Grace Kelly. In the early 1950s, when Paul Newman was still fighting for his place in Hollywood,
There's not much difference between us. A few years.
he met a woman who took his breath away.
An active verb like that describes the character or describes your intention in a scene, of course, it's always.
Grace Kelly was everything Newman had never encountered. Elegant, refined, and untouchable in a way that made every man want to try. She moved through Hollywood parties like royalty, which turned out to be more fitting than anyone knew. Newman was just another struggling actor, but something about Grace's cool beauty and sharp mind captured his heart completely. Their connection happened quietly, away from the studio gossip and newspaper cameras. Grace appreciated Newman's honesty in a town full of fake smiles and empty promises. He made her laugh with his dry humor and treated her like a real person instead of a movie star goddess. They would meet for coffee and long walks, talking about books, dreams, and life beyond the movie sets. For Newman, Grace represented a kind of class and sophistication he had never experienced growing up in Ohio. But their romance was doomed from the start. While Newman was falling deeper in love, Grace was being courted by Prince Rainier of Monaco. The choice between a struggling American actor and a European prince wasn't really a choice at all. In 1956, Grace chose the crown and became Princess Grace, leaving Hollywood and Newman behind forever. Newman watched the royal wedding on television like the rest of the world, the love story that ended before it truly began. She chose a fairy tale life over his uncertain future, and Newman never forgot the princess who slipped through his fingers. For decades after, Newman would wonder what might have been if he had met her just a few years later, when he had more to offer than just his heart. Lola Albright. Before Paul Newman became a household name, before the blue eyes made women swoon across America,
Oh, you're asking for it.
there was Lola Albright. She wasn't just another Hollywood actress. She was a sultry jazz singer turned movie star with a voice like honey and a smile that could light up any room. When they met in the early 1950s, Newman was still a struggling theater actor in New York, and Lola was making her mark in film noir pictures. She had that dangerous beauty that drew men like moths to a flame. Their romance bloomed in the smoky jazz clubs of Manhattan, where Lola would sing late into the night and Newman would sit mesmerized in the audience. She was everything he wasn't: confident, worldly, and comfortable in her own skin. Lola had already tasted success in Hollywood, while Newman was still waiting tables between auditions. But she saw something special in the young actor, with the piercing blue eyes, and encouraged him to keep chasing his dreams. For months, they were inseparable. Lola would sing love songs that seemed written just for Newman, and he would walk her home through the quiet streets of New York after her shows. She taught him about sophistication and style, things his small-town upbringing had never offered. Newman fell hard for the jazz singer who made him feel like he could conquer the world. But Hollywood came calling for both of them, pulling them in different directions. Lola's career was taking off on the West Coast, while Newman was building his reputation on Broadway. The distance and demanding schedules slowly tore them apart. By 1954, their love had faded like the last notes of a sad song. Years later, Newman would say that Lola Albright taught him what it meant to truly fall in love.